Hey guys, it's me. Hope you had a good spring break. I know mine didn't feel very much like a break. So, probably like a lot of you guys have been stuck in my cell phone and like looking up stuff and cases and all this other stuff. So at night, I've taken to watching some late night guys like John Oliver, Trevor Noah, some others, and they're like telling stories and jokes, and there's no one to laugh at them, and it's all kind of depressing. So I'm going to attempt to tell you a story here. If it sucks or it falls flat or it makes you feel worse about the world, then in the future in weeks, then I'll just write it out. So I'm gonna do my best. So when I was transferred away from Akron and I went to CSU Pueblo, I got there and I had met two new friends, Brett Clopeful and Mike Puccio, and they were like the original bench mob. So they were like the guys that celebrated after the guys who were playing made shots, and at the time neither one of them played. Brett ended up playing later, but Puccio, don't tell him, never really got on the court. But they were like the guys who would celebrate on the bench, and they would do all kinds of stuff. But one of the things they do is before the game, they would have a contest to see who could make the most shots in warm-ups. And Puccio was like so intent on winning that he would shoot in the line, and then instead of going to the rebounding line and layups line, he would just circle back to the shooting line. And so guys like me that actually played would have to go fill in the rebounding line and skip shooting, just because if not, it would just overload. So he was super committed. He one time scored 277 points in warm-ups, which was a hell of an accomplishment. So, but they would be the guys who would celebrate on the bench. And a couple things they would say is we had about a third of our guys were white, a third of our guys were black, and a third of our guys were Mexican. And so they would say, if somebody made a three-pointer, they would say three-piece, like 3 pieces of chicken. So three-piece, and then if it was a white guy, they would say white meat. If it was a black guy, they would say dark meat. And if it was a Hispanic guy, they would say rotisserie. So they would say, like if I made a three-pointer, they'd say three-piece, white meat, like super lame, whatever. And if a Mexican Hispanic guy made a three-pointer, they would say three-piece rotisserie. Well, it was also at a time, I don't know if you've ever watched movies during this time or whatever, but where people would say, and they would, if somebody made a shot, they would scream out, holla, like instead of saying holler, right? So this was the thing these guys would say on the bench, and they'd be like up and knocking each other down, doing all that stuff on the bench. So we had an old school coach, Joe Folda was his name, and he did not like all this stuff very much, and he would always be like, hey bud, listen here bud. He thought we liked to eat at Golden Corral and Country Kitchen all the time when we had to stay around. Just super old school guy, never left town, traditional, all that stuff. So we're playing UCCS, and they're the worst team in the league, and we're losing at halftime. And so we go into the locker room, and Fulda starts talking about how bad we are and everything we've done, and saying a lot of stuff that I can't repeat here, but he gets super mad and he starts talking. He's like, and he says, and I've got people on the bench talking about pieces of chicken, and on my bench, I've got people praising Allah. So he thought that when we were saying holla, that people were saying Allah. So anyways, Coach Fulda thought we were talking about pieces of chicken and praising Allah on his bench, which didn't go over very well. So anyway, hard to tell the story without you guys here laughing and everything, but hope you enjoyed it. And I'll try to figure out next week if I'm going to tell a story or write one. But I miss you guys. I wish we could all be together, but I hope you're doing well and hang in there. I know this is not fun, but we'll get through it and we'll be on the other side hopefully sooner than later. All right, love you guys. Bye.